Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to give everybody just a minute or so to join in the room, but I'm Samantha Russell, and I want to personally thank you all for being here. We're so excited to talk with you about estate planning and how you can be talking about it with your clients as a way to differentiate yourself and to market your business better and provide a superior service. So as everybody's entering the room, we wanted to take care of the housekeeping up front and then launch a couple polls just to get a benchmark of where everyone is at. So let's see here. The first thing I just wanted to remind everybody is that this is being recorded and you are going to get all the slides. So if you have to leave early, you have to take a call, don't worry. Everything will be emailed to you after the event is over. So you'll have everything you need. And then the second thing is that if you have any questions, if you put them in the chat, everybody on today's call will be able to see that chat and learn from each other. If there's something you want to ask privately or have it be for only myself and our other panelists to see, you'd want to put that in the Q&A. So the Q&A is more private, the chat is more public, but feel free to share any tips, ideas as well that is working for your business in the chat so we can all learn together. With that, Blair, who's on our team at FMG in the background, if you could launch the first poll so we can get kicked off here. And we'd ask everybody who's signing in just to take a quick second and answer this. So the question is, which do you need the most help with when it comes to marketing your estate planning services? Is it updating your website to talk about estate planning more and have messaging around that? Is it to improve the consistency and quality of your email communications to clients and prospects, to talk more about estate planning there? Or is it maybe figuring out ways to incorporate it on social media? So if you take a second and just choose, or you can choose all of the above, that's fine too. We'd love to see what everybody's answer is there. And we'll give you just another couple seconds to choose, and then we will all see the results together. Okay, Blair, if you could share the results of that one. I know everybody's still signing in, but okay, it looks like all of the above is the most popular. Well, good. We have tips for you on all three, but email communication ekes out the second highest. And I'm glad to see that because actually we'll be sharing more about this, but Wealth.com and FMG have partnered to create a 4-part email drip all about estate planning that you can use for both clients and prospects. And everyone on today's call is going to get that in a PDF format emailed to them. So woohoo, we're already helping you solve problems, everybody. All right, let's launch the second poll. And if you could take a second and answer that, which is which of the following currently describes your business? So you offer estate planning in-house, you partner with estate planning attorneys, or maybe you do one or the other, but you're interested in providing more robust estate planning to clients and are really interested in learning more about how Wealth.com can help you do that. So take a second and answer that, and then we'll be able to dive into the content for today. And I see Karen is saying, good morning from Anchorage, Alaska. You might win the award for being the person joining us from farthest away. If anyone else is further away than Anchorage from, I'm in State College, Pennsylvania, please let me know. Maybe we have some international people joining us today. All right, let's go ahead and share the results of that one. And all right, so a lot of people partnering, not so many offering in-house, and a lot of people interested in doing it in a more robust way. So that is fantastic. Thank you all for answering the poll. And with that, we are going to kick off today's session. So for those of you who haven't had the pleasure of meeting before, I'm Samantha Russell. I'm the Chief Evangelist here at FMG, which is an all-in-one digital marketing solution specifically for financial advisors. We help you with your website, social media, email, events, everything you need to market your business well. And if we're not connected on social media already, I'd love to connect with you there. I try every single day to share a quick and easy tip that you can implement to help grow your firm. All right, Tim, hello. Thank you for joining us. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes. First, I'm going to speak for the entire Wealth.com team. Certainly, Danny and I, we've been looking forward to this webinar. Sam, you're so important to the industry. Certainly so important to the Wealth Tech, and we just love what you do. You're really driving the community forward. So excited to have the conversation. But yes, my name is Tim White. I'm a co-founder here at wealth.com, also chief partnership officer. So I look over all the relationships that we have within our partner community. So really excited to double click in and dive a little deeper on how firms and advisors can grow utilizing and thinking about estate planning, a part of that strategy. So without further ado, I like to say this, like either you're Batman or I'm Robin or the vice versa. Anyways, we both get to wear tights on Halloween, but Danny, I'll introduce you.
Hey everybody, I'm Danny. I am the less funny version of Tim. I am the chief product officer here at wealth.com. So I oversee the strategy and the design of the solution. My background has always been in the financial advisory space. I started out as a lowly analyst at Goldman Sachs. I was then a private wealth advisor at Goldman before joining the management team and running strategic projects and initiatives for the ultra high net worth business over at Goldman. So always thinking through the lens of a financial advisor when designing wealth.com to put advisors, frankly, in the position to be the quarterbacks of the estate planning relationship for their clients. So excited to have this conversation with everybody today.
Thank you so much, both of you. And, your design is so important to me. I know not, from the user experience, but just aesthetically the way things look, and you guys are killing it with your design. So kudos to you. So actually, before we go into the next slide, I just wanted to give you the lay of the land, everybody. I didn't do an agenda slide because I feel like those are boring, but the gist of it is we're going to give a little bit of background about why we're having this conversation and why right now is probably one of the most important times to be thinking about estate planning if you're in wealth management advising clients. We're going to give a very short overview of that. And then we're going to talk a little bit about wealth.com's product so you can actually see it, so that if you don't currently have a robust way to do this, you can see what it looks like. And then the whole second half will be me giving you email, website, social, all the tips on how to market it. So that's going to be the show flow so that you know. I didn't mean to rhyme that, but okay, here we go. Oh, that was 3 rhymes in a row. This is cool. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the great wealth transfer.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, I think this is a hot topic. $84.4 trillion going to be passing hands to the next generation. I mean, this is, I think, at every single industry conference, you see it in the media constantly. But part of this is just like this convergence that's happening in the space and makes estate planning, especially on the tech side, so exciting is, with this moment in time, seeing these assets passing, how can we help deliver this in a technology way to help this next generation that's going to be managing substantial amount of wealth that's going to be coming in.
Yeah, and I'd also say that like $84.4 trillion, like that's the big headline. And a lot of people tend to focus on that, Sam, like that headline number. But then when you break it down, like what does it actually mean? What does this great wealth transfer mean for financial advisors? Because it's not like, these assets are changing hands immediately. I mean, it is a slow roll over 15 to 20 years. But tangibly, if you break it down, you can see that about $72.5 trillion are going to go to beneficiaries, so heirs, that are named in estate plans or that are going just by local state laws if the client has no will or no trust in place, which is a whole nother issue. But who are the assets ultimately going to? They're going to Gen X. They're going to millennials. They're going to Gen Z. 44% to Gen X, 40% to millennials, and then 16% going to Gen Z. And who are these folks? I mean, like Gen X, millennials, these aren't like young kids. These are people that have their own families. These are people that have their own homes. And so they're already in like the wealth accumulation phase in their lives, right? So to make inroads with them needs to be today, before they, pick their financial advisor, because the average inheritor is expecting a inheritance value north of $700,000.
That blew my mind, by the way. I know averages are different than,
than median,
numbers different ways, but yeah, that still is very impressive.
And I think it actually dovetails really well with this next slide here. Only 19% of clients plan to work with their parents' financial advisor. So if you have all these assets that are changing hands, right? And they're going into the hands of Gen X and millennials and Gen Z. Well, there's an amazing opportunity in front of you, not only just to retain the assets that you're already managing, but actually use this moment in time and use estate planning, because it's so top of mind at this moment, to be that beachhead strategy for prospecting. If 81% of folks are going to be leaving their parents' advisor, then use this as a beachhead strategy to tackle those assets, to tackle those trillions of dollars that are effectively up for grabs. And you be the one that says, hey, I know that you're maybe thinking about this. Your parents are getting older, you recently came into money. How can I help you get set up and think through your own estate plan?
Quick survey here of the group that's on the call. Are you using your parents' advisor? No. I'm using my father-in-law's advisor. So,
Well, one of the things I was going to say is let us know in the chat. Do you currently have a plan to try to connect with the children of your clients that will, be inheriting some of this wealth? Because I have some really great examples later on and how you can be talking about, not just talking to, the older generation about estate planning, but the younger ones that are going to inherit it. How do you talk to them about it now? And there's not many people doing this well. When I went to look for examples of advisor communication that was really good, that's talking to the inheritors, there's really not that many great examples out there. So
and what a wonderful way to...
I'll answer that question that you asked earlier, Tim, because I think I'm a pretty prime example. I left my parents' financial advisor. He was at Raymond James, and it's not that he did anything wrong, but like I was put into index funds and I had a few mutual funds, and all I ever really heard quarter over quarter was about the Sharpe ratio. And like, I got it. Like, I get it. I'm not like, I understand what you said, but the last time, but like, what are you going to do for me today? Right. And I understand that you're probably rebalancing my portfolio on a quarterly basis, and that's cool, but like, I could do that myself. And I think that most clients kind of feel that way. Like, I have access to Fidelity. I could do that myself. So what are you going to do for me today? And me, in my circumstance, well, I just got married. My first kid is on the way in September. Estate planning is top of mind for me. I want to make sure that if something, God forbid, happens to me, that like my newborn son and my wife are going to be taken care of. Like, that is top of mind for me. Also top of mind for me is I just bought a farm. And I want to make sure that
going on there, Danny.
I know a lot going on in my life, but like these are life moments, and you got to capitalize on those life moments if you're an advisor, right? Like, I need help thinking through, farm tax assessment stuff, right? So like that is really what I'm looking for from my advisors. What can you do for me today? And of course, estate planning is a very tangible thing that you can be addressing with clients, both Gen 1, but really importantly, next gen clients today.
You brought up three factors when you're actually reviewing with a client, whether they need to update their plan. Danny, you touched on all three, right? One, you just were married about was it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
2 years ago in Jamaica. I was there. You just moved states from New York to New Jersey, and now you have a child on the way, which is, perfect segue.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the average American 11 times. Oh, thank you.
So, one of the things that we're seeing in the chat is people saying, a lot of people don't think of the kids of their current clients as an ideal client yet, because they don't have the assets yet. Yeah. And so we really challenge you to think about the relationship for those next gen needs to be established in a lot of cases before they have the assets. They want somebody who's going to be there for them now. And so, doing that through different types of communication, that can be kind of a low hanging fruit. It doesn't take too much effort to include them. And some people are saying things like just including them in events or mailings or emails that you're already sending out, right? It can be a real low hanging fruit to start establishing that connection.
One thing that we really emphasize here at Wealth, and how we design the product, but thinking about how we even package a solution, is we really come up with awesome strategies with the clients and advisors that we're working with to actually get to that, kids a client in that second generation, by thinking about even the children that are moving to college, for example, beneficiaries that turn 18. We actually proactively inform the advisor of that event and encourage them to set up with a power of attorney and healthcare directive. So, using technology to bridge that gap is important. Also, too, I think that you have these different generations that, my father's generation is really, accustomed to the old school process of going to a brick and mortar attorney. But, my generation, Gen X, we're a little bit more digitally inclined. And so having a strategy that can work with a variety of different demographics is really important.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Okay. So do you want to spend any time on this one here, guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. Of course, estate planning, I think that first and foremost, it's about love. It's about thinking about your family and the position that you're going to be putting them in when you're no longer around. It's probably one of the most important things that you can do for your family. But there's also the dollar component to it. And as financial advisors, like we're thinking about how can we generate alpha for our clients, portfolio alpha, but there's also tax alpha. And when you think about the gray wealth transfer, that's one big macro trend, but there's also this other big elephant in the room, which is this massive piece of legislation that was enacted in 2017, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. And that is going to sunset with no legislation that's needed to be passed. That is going to be sunsetting by default at the end of 2025. So effectively today, the estate tax exemption threshold sits at the all-time high of $13.61 million. $27.2 million combined for like a married couple in the US. But that's going to be cut in half to about $7 million per individual, or 14 million combined at the end of 2025 going into 2026, which means it's literally a use it or lose it type opportunity, where if you have clients that are like in that high net worth range today or ultra high net worth, they really need to be tackling this issue before literally it's too late. And you have about 2 years to go and start moving money outside of the taxable estate and trying to generate that tax alpha. We'll walk through some examples later on. We don't need to look at this example in particular, but it really is a meaningful tangible value that you can bring to your clients today.
Yeah. But another reason why it's sort of a perfect storm to be talking about this right now at this moment.
Yeah.
This is really interesting. I mean, 93% of clients expect to receive estate planning assistance from their advisor, but only 22% are receiving it. And that's massive. I mean, that gap is huge. I think if you go to the next slide, we'll, sharing a little bit more color here, but this is a McKinsey report done in January 17. You think about pulling this family office experience downstream, and that's constant at every event that we go to. And you see it constantly in the media. Really the financial planning, the tax preparation, but estate planning. In this recent survey, actually estate planning actually beat out tax preparation. So this is absolutely top of mind. And it actually reminds me too, when, we were just recently had an announcement with Farther, and it happened this week, but they did a basically what they call their annual wellness report. And they looked at the data, and that 63% of their client base, 63% do not have a simple estate planning document in place, not a will. They don't have a trust. And then when you layer on how many need an update or haven't updated, it actually goes up to about 78%. So there is a massive need that they've identified. And I think a lot of advisors and firms need to look in their CRM, and they need to extract that data and understand, when is the last time we reviewed estate planning with this client, or how many clients don't have estate planning in place. And oftentimes too, when a client says they have something, you should actually provoke and you should ask, hey, can we review it together? Because I'm sure you're going to find some interesting things there, whether, again, just as Danny pointed out, has events changed? Have they moved states? And so there's a massive need. It's clear in the numbers. And I think the firms that are really thinking strategic around that are taking advantage of this tide.
Well, I think what's so interesting is that what you just said about, a lot of people might make it a part of the conversation with clients, but they're not necessarily going over the documents.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a missing link. I mean, I know even in my own personal situation, my husband and I had a living will. And then, and our advisor knew that. I think he had a copy of that, but he had been kind of pressuring us in a good way to, create trust and do more robust estate planning. And we were putting it off. And then my husband got a just awful cancer diagnosis a couple years ago. And our advisor was on the phone with us immediately saying, like, you can't wait anymore. You have to do it. We're going to get it done this weekend. Like, with everything else going on, that was sort of the last thing we were thinking about, but he was pressuring us in a really good way, is the best way I can describe it. And I will forever be eternally grateful to him, because we got it done before my husband's mental capacity declined such that it would have been hard to do. And the way he got us to do it really truly was by saying, it's not just about the money. It's about getting the power of attorney and the medical directives and all those questions answered that, are going to be important in this journey. So obviously everybody needs to know, like, what's going to be the thing that gets somebody to go forward. But I think now would be just such a great time to talk a little bit about your platform, because we're going to show it to everybody. We had some questions about what platform you use, what it allows people to do. So let's take a look at it, and then everybody stay on, and we'll then jump into all the marketing tactics.
Awesome. Great segue. Danny.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So the way that we think about estate planning philosophically is that it is the bookend to any good financial plan, right? So like, you don't really know what the end game is unless you understand you can't build the financial plan unless you know what that end game is, I should say. We also fundamentally view an advisor's book of business as not necessarily being homogenous. And what I mean by that is that your clients are rarely at the same stage in life, are at the same stage on their estate planning journey as each other. And so you have some clients that, Tim, I think he referenced a partner firm of ours, Facet. I think it was Facet, right, Tim? That did that study of 20,000 of their clients, and only 63% of them didn't even have a will. So like, you got that segment that doesn't have any estate plan in place. They don't have wills. They don't have healthcare directives, thinking about end of life decisions. And like, these are really like meaningful decisions, right? Financial powers of attorney, they have nothing. So like, you segment that bucket. But then you also have clients that have existing estate plans that are outdated. So 10 years old, 15 years old, and you want to help them review them and make sure that it all looks good. Are you still on good terms with the person that's named as the executor in your will, right? And then, of course, you have, in some cases, ultra high net worth client that has the alphabet soup of irrevocable trust. So they have the ILETs, the SLATs, the GRATs, they have it all together. They have the irrevocable trust set up. But wrangling it all together and really communicating to them how it all works is a challenge. And so if we go to the next slide here, you're going to see the way that we really think about it at wealth.com is trying to meet both you as the advisor and your clients downstream, wherever they are on their estate planning journeys, but also along that wealth spectrum. So what I'll show you in the demo, and we'll do it really quickly, we'll kind of fly around. If you guys want to set up a further demo with wealth.com, just reach out to sales@wealth.com, and happy to handle it. You could also reach out to me directly, Danny@wealth.com, or Tim@wealth.com. Pretty easy domain name to work with. But what I'll walk through in this demo is...
I can stop sharing and let you pull your screen up. Why don't we do that?
Sure. So I'll walk through our document creation capabilities. I'll walk through our artificial intelligence technology that will extract key information from existing estate plans. And then I'll also walk through our ultra high net worth suite of solutions that really brings to life the complexities of an estate plan for a client with a very large balance sheet with all these different entities, LLCs that are owned by trust and all that stuff. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm first going to share with you our advisor portal, and then I'll walk you through the capabilities that live within the advisor portal, and I'll also show you the client portal. Fundamentally, though, like I mentioned, we believe that the advisor should be placed in the quarterback position to drive the estate planning conversation. That is the reason why in the CFP, there is an entire estate planning module. Of course, you should be talking to your clients about their legacy planning goals and objectives and concerns. That is right in the wheelhouse of what advisors should be doing. Now, I'll also talk to you about how at wealth.com, because we are designed specifically for financial advisors, meaning like you cannot access wealth.com as a direct-to-consumer off the street. We don't work in any other verticals. We know the unique parameters that you guys are playing within from a compliance and a regulatory standpoint as well. So we'll also walk through our architecture and how we have been really thoughtfully designed to make sure that you're able to facilitate these really important conversations, but also understanding where the lines should stop and end. So without further ado, this is the advisor portal here. From the advisor portal, it is your central management hub for your client's estate planning life. What I'll do is I'll show you, if I look up this client here, I'm able to dive in and see their estate planning life from this central hub. You'll see there are a number of different sub-tabs that I can navigate around to, ranging from, of course, we want to give you a central place to be able to store your estate planning documents. And so everything can be stored in one central location in very clean categories and subcategories. But importantly, we will then help you extract that information so that we can then pre-populate these data cards. So if you have a client with an existing estate plan, let's say they have an existing SLAT in place, we will be able to help you populate these cards that are then going to capture all the key information about your client's existing estate plan. Now, this is what I'm showing you for a much more complex, complicated client that has the irrevocable structures in place. But how do we populate those cards and that information? It's really using our AI technology. So our AI technology, you simply upload an existing estate planning document and into that digital vault, and you will then be able to run an extraction report on that document. So here you're going to see what our AI technology looks like. On the left is the actual document itself, and on the right is everything that we're able to extract literally within 90 seconds or less. And the purpose here is you as the advisor, if your client has an existing estate plan, you don't want to be reading through hundreds of pages of trust documents, but you sure as heck want to be able to communicate to your client the current construct of their plan and have conversations around whether that meets their goals, their objectives around legacy planning. So we make that easy for you. So everything from overview, what's the situs, what's the document type, trust creation date, to any important family members that we've been able to identify, to the trustee flow, to then how the assets are actually going to get distributed. Is there a marital subtrust? Is there a credit shelter trust? And then it looks like in this document, everything was going outright. All right, in what format and what fashion? You'll see if I wanted to double click into any of this, we have these hover over capability to show you exactly what page we found this information on. We also give you this little tab that will produce effectively a highlight reel of all the key information that we found from within the document. Now, all of this then instantly gets fed into a visual report, which I'll show you right now. Now, you extract the document information that feeds into those neatly formatted data cards, but all of that then can be reused. Because we have data on this client and we understand the underlying construct of their estate plan, who the trustees are, who the beneficiaries are, well, now you go in here and you want to create a report for your clients. Number one, this report can be fully co-branded with your firm's logo and colors and fonts. And you just select what slides you want to include. So this client has
my favorite part, everybody.
the co-branding is important. It really is. I mean, it needs to.
Well, and just the visual, because you get these legal documents that are just your eyes glaze over and it's so hard to understand. And to have this is what I really think of as like a referable moment as an advisor. Somebody gives you this and you're like, oh, man, my advisor helps me simplify this and understand where the money in motion is going to go and what that's going to look like.
Yeah, exactly. And it needs to be intuitive. It needs to be clean. You'll see that this is obviously not our colors and our look and feel in this report because it's been customized for another firm that I'm showing you here. But you'll see that this client has a SLAT, has a dynasty trust. If I went in here and I wanted to modify details and say, all right, well, actually, instead of Peter receiving these assets, it was, let's say, Jeremy Smith. And instead of 50, 25, 25, it's 60, 20, 20. You're going to see that this all updates instantly. And this is the power of having extracted that key information from the documents and now structuring that data. Now, to make any updates to this slide is seamless. It's super easy because you have that data structured and now you can update the visual here. So now Jeremy is receiving the assets, right? All the way through to then how does the revocable trust operate, and how that revocable trust will get distributed to your next generation. And of course, this can be done for every single one of your clients. If I go to Robert Adams, for instance, and I want to show within Robert Adams his estate report, well, I just check off these slides and it's now fully customized for Robert Adams, including Robert Adams' family. And so we'll build out family trees and you can show the different relationships. Of course, if you're thinking about that next generation, well, who is that next generation? Who are the folks that will be receiving assets? So this is a very powerful deliverable to your end client.
I'd like to say like the technology wealth.com has an extremely high ceiling. And obviously Danny's covering that now, but also with the high ceiling is a very low floor, meaning like, how can we even service a kit of client? But I'll let you walk through it a little bit further, Danny.
Well, I was just going to say, I can see we have, because we're coming up on time, let's switch and go into some of the marketing tactics. But what we'll do is there's a lot of questions coming in the chat. So while I'm talking marketing, I'm going to let the two of you guys talk in the chat to answer some of the questions, and then stay on, everybody, and we can go through. And if we have time, we'll pull back more into the demo.
Absolutely. And if we do pull back into the demo, I will cover our document creation capabilities. For instance, this was a document that was created through wealth.com, and we can walk through how it was created and how advisors are helping their clients get set up with these amazingly comprehensive foundational documents.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So you guys attack the chat there. You got a lot of good questions coming in about the technology, which is great. And I'm going to pull back up my screen. Okay. So we did that. Okay. So for many of you, you're saying, okay, so if I'm already doing a lot of this for my clients, how do I communicate it and market it better, right? That's what you want to know how to do. So the very first thing I want you all to do is to Google your business and see if you have it checked off that you provide estate planning on your Google business listing. Because if somebody is doing a Google search for estate planning and financial planner near me, or they're looking for a financial planner that offers estate planning as part of that holistic services, Google is going to tell them whether or not your firm does in that list. So this is a really important part of SEO to make sure that you come up when someone's doing that search. And I actually have included in the slide deck, this is linked, the link of how to edit it so that you can add it. So I made it really, really easy for you all. So that's the very first thing that you'll want to do. The second thing you'll want to do is make sure that you're very crystal clear on your website that you are speaking about estate planning. So here's a screenshot of a website. You can see under services, they have investment, retirement, estate. You know, you might have retirement, investment, tax, estate. But having the word estate or estate planning in a submenu like that, again, is just going to signal to people that this is a big component of how you are serving your clients. So having a dedicated page like that really can go a long way. But then once you actually are on the page, or the client or the prospects on the page, you want to use very simple everyday language to explain what estate planning really means. Because again, as all the data we just looked at shows, so many people still believe estate planning is really only for like that top 0.01% of people, right? They think, oh, I don't have enough money to justify it. So we want to explain that estate planning is for everybody and talk in really layman's terms about what that means. You can use stories to really get this across as well. So this is a great example of a blog post we have in the FMG content library that you can just add to your website that talks about kind of the pitfalls of what celebrities have even gone through because they were not prepared for estate planning. But using stories that people can relate to is a great way to simplify it and help them really understand what it is we're talking about here. The other thing that I really suggest you do is create, if this is something you're really wanting to capitalize on, we see how many clients want an advisor who helps with estate planning and how many people aren't getting it. create a whole estate planning resource center on your site. So I'm actually going to open this page up. So this is a website that we've worked with the advisors on here at FMG. And so you can see they have this estate planning resource center. What is my net worth calculator? So you can go in and punch in, you know, all of, oops, wait, I got this, I'm pulling up the wrong one here. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. So you can go in and you can put in, you know, all of your different assets and it will spit out the number to explain it to you. It has different articles where they can learn more. And then there is a download that somebody can get as a way to generate leads for your business. There's videos. So this is all content that we have in the FMG library that you can just very, very easily add to your website. But having a resource center like this, think about how much more profound that is if someone's looking for an advisor and they're wondering, is this advisor going to help me with inheritance issues, with trusts, with all these different estate planning questions? And then you have this on your site, right? Makes a massive difference in what you are communicating. Okay. There we go. So I talked about, you know, capturing leads with this as well. If you are an FMG customer and you're interested, we actually have this Understanding Your Estate downloadable in our content library. So you don't have to create anything. It's a guide. It's already made for you. You can put it on your website. And as people come in, you'll get their name and email, and you can follow up with them and say, you know, what are your concerns about estate planning? It's something that we integrate with all of our new clients. A really, really great way to capture leads who are interested in this. Maybe they're not getting it from their current advisor. Right there on your website. Another thing that I love, this is a website we worked with Zuckerman Private Wealth, and we added a whole section of testimonials for them on their website. So again, if that's something you're interested in doing, you know, with the new SEC rules, you can add testimonials on your site. You obviously want to check with compliance first, but I love that they have testimonials that include clients talking about the estate settlement issues as well. So they're not just talking about financial planning in general, but they've specifically highlighted ones that also talk about estate. And adding interactive elements to your website too, you know, things that will get people thinking, like maybe I don't understand this as much as I really thought I did. So this site here, this is a quiz we've developed at FMG that you can add. But again, you know, if you're not an FMG customer, you could have your own interactive elements, but it asks people questions and then it tells them, you know, I'm just going to pick one, I'm not reading it, whether they got it right or wrong and how many other people chose that answer. So you can kind of see how knowledgeable you are, right? So people love this kind of interactive stuff in marketing. It really gets them more intrigued and thinking about how you can help them. So adding something like that that's interactive keeps people engaged, gets them realizing your expertise, but in a way that makes it a little bit more fun. And if you are using wealth.com, you can showcase the power of wealth.com right on your website, right? So this is just a quick visual that can show you, and I'm sure Danny and Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can provide your users with visuals like this that they can add to their website so that they can highlight prospects. What
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a library full of content. We work very closely with our partners and our marketing team to provide that what fits their website and their messaging perfectly. So we definitely do it.
Yes. So you know, I think one of the things, if a lot of wealth management firms have a lot of tech that makes their clients' lives easier, but they don't showcase it on their site in a way that's easy for the client to understand. And so this is, you know, a really, really easy way to just show how it's going to help you as the end user, as the client. So a lot of you talked about email and how you wanted to talk more about estate planning in email, and you're maybe not sure what to say or what to do. So we work together, wealth.com and FMG, to create a 4-part estate planning drip email that you can use. And we're giving it away to everybody on this call and everyone who registered for free. And you can customize it or you can use it as is. So you will all get that in an email as a follow-up. But it's great because it talks about how it's not just, you know, for a certain type of person, it's for everyone, some common misconceptions about it. It talks about the Tax Cuts and Job Act ending. And so it's 4 parts. So you can send it out however you want. We recommend doing it once a week for a month. But it's a great way to send to both clients and prospects to get them thinking about what types of services you can help them with, how you're going to be looking at them holistically, you know, comprehensively, every aspect of the plan. And we, through our Do It For Me program, have already had advisors sending this out and are seeing amazing response from it. So I'm excited to share it with all of you. I think you're going to get a lot of value from it. And if you are an FMG customer or you're interested in becoming one, in our content library, if you just search the word estate under emails, you can see all different kinds of email drip campaigns that we have, social posts, obviously web content that you can use. But I thought I'd put a screenshot here for all of you since you're going to get the deck, in case you're wondering, well, what kind of things should I be talking with clients with in email or prospects about estate planning? So, you know, everything from financial protection strategies to estate, you know, common estate strategy mistakes that you should be avoiding. We also have you can see there at the top, a center of influence campaign specifically for estate attorneys. So if you want to have more estate planning attorneys that you're working with, maybe you want to reach out to the people in your area and start, you know, trying to work with them more closely and garner some new business from them, that is an email that you can send out that introduces you and your firm and, you know, talks about how you help clients with estate planning and suggests a partnership together. So that is a really amazing email for our Do It For Me customers, which I'll talk more about in just a second. And then on social media, one thing I like to tell people is, you know, nobody wakes up in the morning and goes to social media and says like, man, I need an estate plan. I hope I'm going to find out how to get one on LinkedIn today, right? Like, that's not why we're there. But if you're sharing something that's really compelling and interesting, it will get attention. So, you know, this is an example of a social post. Only 46% of Americans have a will. And while probate takes an average of 9 months to complete, it can take much longer without a will. So it's just a nice visual way to get people thinking about estate planning and, again, connect the dots between, oh, my advisor doesn't talk to me about this, but this person is on social media. They're offering a lot more value to their clients than the current person that I'm working with, right? So the main idea with all of this, the social posts, the emails, the websites, is if you're not talking about it, it can't be a differentiator. You need to be talking about it in your communications in order for people to equate that you're offering this as a value add to your, I shouldn't even say a value add, but as to be more comprehensive to your clients. And then I wanted to share this one. I thought this was so interesting. I saw this on Facebook a while ago and I saved it and I went back and found it. But this person wrote this social post in very plain language. It starts with, there's nothing fun about stuff like estate planning, getting mammograms, or talking to a guy about long-term disability, but do it anyway. And then they go through and it's like, an estate plan is simply your directions on what should happen if you get sick or die. And the post goes on, I sort of shortened it here, but you can see it got 56 comments and 34 shares because people don't talk about estate planning like this. It's so simple. It's very easy to understand. It's written so that, you know, a 9th grader could read it. And that, I think, is one of the big issues that we have in how we all talk about and market estate planning services, is that we use jargon. We use language that we talk about irrevocable trusts and things that the average person, no idea. So the more you can keep the language simple, the more you're going to get people to connect with you on this issue and understand why it's important and how you can help. So the more you can use that simple, natural language, the better. Okay, I just wanted to, before I go to that last one here, there was a couple questions that came out about some of the content that you saw. So I just wanted to pull up really quickly. Again, if you're an FMG customer and you log in, this is our dashboard and what it looks like. So if you came up here and you just, again, search the word estate, you will get a list of all of the different content that's in the library that you can use. So web content, email, social posts, greeting cards. And then if you wanted to use it, you can either click details or use, and it'll give you a preview. And so this is the example of one reaching out to a center of influence, an estate attorney as a center of influence campaign. And it just talks like basically introducing the firm and what you can do for them. So with any of these, they're really, really easy to use as is, or to go ahead and edit to be specific. So you can see, 4 steps for managing an inheritance. This one talks about the great wealth transfer. It's social media posts that, again, you can use as is, or you can edit. So tons of great content in our library to make it really easy for you to market this and have those conversations. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing there. Or actually, let me pull up one more thing really fast, guys. Sorry. And then we'll go through the rest of the questions. So I just wanted to mention that if you are interested in working more with FMG to help market your business, we just launched a new program about a year or two ago called Do It For Me, because we would do webinars like this, show you examples of how to send emails, do social posts, update your website, and people would say, well, can you just do it for me? So we created this program to allow you to work with somebody on our team every single month. We send you an editorial calendar that looks like this, and it will tell you what blog posts, emails, social posts are going to go out on your behalf. And you can even opt into additional ones that are specific for business owners or young families, depending on, what your niche is. And then it all goes out on your behalf. Everything, it goes through compliance in our portal, makes it really, really easy to get your marketing done, stay top of mind with clients and prospects, but not have to lift a finger to do it. So if you're interested in this, please reach out to us. You can go to FMG's website and set up a time to talk with our team, and we would absolutely love to tell you more about it. All right, with that, let's go back into the chat and the Q&A. And what kinds of questions does it look like we need to address?
It seems like there's a lot of questions about some document creation stuff, and also about legal liability and integrations. So I'm happy to kind of touch on a lot of that stuff. Anything, Tim, that you're seeing?
No, I agree with you. I think I think those are the 3 main topics as I kind of peer through this. So let's hit those and see if more come in.
Yeah. And so first of all, I'd say that, look, there are some clients that you're always going to want to go and talk to a trust and estate lawyer with, and they're going to be their preference. However, many clients are very happy to just get their documents set up, and they want to get their trust, they want to get their wills set up, and they don't want to spend $3,000. They don't want to spend $5,000 to go and do it. They don't want to spend the time to go back and forth with the trust and estate attorney. And that's where there are alternative solutions available. So before, I was walking you through some of our reporting capabilities at wealth.com. And there are other services out there that do have reporting capabilities, but really importantly, I think that if you look at that 63% of that partner firm that we have, for instance, of clients that don't have any estate plans in place, like, that's simply not okay. It's not okay that we have the majority of the American population that don't even have a will. What ends up happening is that backs up the courts. So that all of our other important cases end up getting literally backlogged, because probate courts are having to usher through, clients, people's estates that there was no guidance given by the deceased on what's supposed to happen, right? So then assets end up getting distributed by local statutes, and really important family decisions are made by a judge and not by the family.
Other thing I think it's important to highlight, because I think it carries in both of those questions. The second one that you're mentioning is that day one, a firm working with wealth.com has access to our attorney network. So we have a vetted attorney network. It's very unique to us. We're the first one and the most robust attorney network across all 50 states and DC. So if you do have a client that, one, need a little bit more hand-holding, or we lean into a little bit more of the complex, you have access to the attorney network. Also, with people moving up to 11 times in a lifetime, they're moving across state lines. You may have had, a center of excellence in California, of a firm in California, but now your clients are in Texas, they're in Florida, they spread across the US. Just think of us as a partner, not only from the digital creation side, but access to our network of attorneys as well. So I think that's a really unique way that wealth.com can kind of supercharge whatever existing estate planning strategy you have in place.
Yeah, it's a great point, Tim, on the attorney network. I mean, that is very unique to wealth.com. You're not going to find any other providers that have literally a nationwide network of attorneys that has been fully vetted and built out in every single state and DC. And that goes hand in hand with your existing centers of influence, where if you do have an attorney in Indiana and you're in Indiana, great. But if your client just bought a home in Idaho, well, you probably need to transfer that home into the trust. And so you're probably going to need an attorney to help facilitate that. Well, wealth.com plug and play with us. Now, what about those clients, though, that don't have the estate planning documents in place? This is where you can actually provision access to wealth.com to them, and they will land here into the client portal. Before they land here, though, there's a series of disclosures that they acknowledge, positively acknowledge, including that their advisor is providing them now with a digital option, but they have other options available, like speaking to a trust and estate attorney. But they're provided with this digital option, and the advisor is not providing any legal advice to them. Wealth.com is the one that's ultimately on the hook for any output here. Now, I'm going to go over to the document center because this is where my estate plan is actually created. And you'll see this is my custom estate plan between my wife and I. And the reason why it's laid out for me is because during onboarding, I was actually forced to take this intake evaluation, which gets at my goals and objectives around my legacy planning. Wealth.com then translates those legacy goals into best match of should I have a trust or should I have a will and why? So I own property in another state that introduces two probate processes, right? Ancillary probate process, where if I have only a will in place and I have a home in Florida and New York, there's going to be a probate process, which means time and money that's opened in both New York and Florida. Now, should I have a joint trust with me and my wife? Should we each have our own individual trust? So we customize it further. And ultimately, we then allow you to create this document. I'm going to go through this in about 45 seconds here.
I was going to say, we got like 2 minutes left.
So this document here, you can just see it looks, feels, walks, talks, acts like a document that your clients would be paying thousands of dollars for, because it is. In this document, I'm giving everything to my wife, except she's getting her assets through a marital subtrust. I'm giving assets, if she predeceases me, to my children, 40% each, and to charities, and they're getting their assets, my kids, through a trust for descendants, because I don't want them getting a big windfall at, let's say, the age of 18. And I said that they can only get access to a quarter of the value of the trust property at the age of 25. And this document is fully optimized for the state in which I live. So Florida, because we pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to local attorneys in every single state to make sure that these documents are optimized for every state. But it's frictionless to create. The average time to completion is sub 40 minutes to create these documents. And what we find is that if a client starts creating a document through wealth.com, 91% of the time, they complete it literally within 10 days. 10 days, this is completed, completely frictionless.
Awesome.
That's great. There's one remaining question that somebody had, whether our attorney network can help with special needs trust, and absolutely they can. So I think that was one of the last questions here that just came
and
through.
There's so much we didn't get a chance to look at, and I encourage you all to reach out and get a demo. Obviously there's a lot of power in this platform. So I know we're running out of time, but you definitely wanted to take a look. If you could stop sharing for 1 second, Danny, what I'm going to do is
I will stop sharing here.
Oh, Jim, look at Jim. Takeaways from the meeting. And he put all these great tips.
Good job to Jim.
I just wanted to pull up one more time because somebody was asking again about the drip. Just back up. So it's actually going to be a PDF that you're going to get from us that is going to be all of these emails. But if you already are a user of FMG and you want to see it right now and you go into the content library, if you're using our Do It For Me program, it is already in there. So you can find it in there now. You don't have to wait. It's in here in the Do It For Me or in the exclusive content library, and all of those email drips. So you can see this one right here, brought to you in partnership with wealth.com, and it will tell you, here's the sequence. You can say, yes, I'm ready to use it. And we really want you to have your contacts segmented into groups. So that's a really important marketing tip. You want to have, your prospects, your clients, maybe even broken down a little bit more. But you can see, do you want to wait for 30 days between sending the emails? Do you want to do it every 10 days? So you get it loaded up, it's in here, and then you can go ahead and send it. So if you already are an FMG customer on our Do It For Me program, the email is ready to go and loaded. Everybody else, you're going to get a PDF, which you'll be able to copy and paste and put into any email platform that you like. So there's a lot to learn more about FMG and Wealth.com. I think the big takeaway is we both have very powerful platforms that can help you. And we're so excited that you spent some time with us today. We encourage you to visit Wealth.com or FMGsuite.com to learn more. And I know there's a lot of questions we didn't get to either, but we will follow up with as many as we can via email. And we thank you all for your time today.
Thank you so much, Samantha. Thank you, FMG. And, look forward to connecting with everybody.
Okay, thank you.